and welcome to episode 3 of the Being Youthful podcast. I think I have started this like 3 or 4 times, so I'm just gonna go for it, and whatever I say is what I say. I am super excited to be back, and I'm so excited to have you all joining me. I am convinced now it's not just my family watching the podcast. I'm actually not even convinced that half of my family watches the podcast, which I get, right? Because they are not necessarily knitters or wool people, and they're like, what the heck are you doing? So if you are watching, family, like my mom, who was actually watching episode 2 today as I was texting her. So hi mom, hi all family, and friends that I haven't seen in forever. Fiber friends, all of you. Thanks for coming back, and I hope we have some new viewers too. I am Kim Beegler, owner of Ewethful Fiber Farm and Mill, and I am here sitting in the mill in Halsey, Oregon. We're a small town kind of between Portland and Eugene in Oregon. So, and my husband is a grass seed farmer out here. That's how I ended up down here. And he farms with his dad in there. I messed it up before, but I think we decided he's 4th generation grass seed farmer. So anyway, we stay busy. And this last week or 2 in particular, I have been crazy busy. And a lot of what I've been working on has been a secret. I haven't really been able to post it. So I'm going to be able to let the secret out of the bag for a lot of things now on things I've been working on. And so first time I'm going to say this, spoiler alert. If you are in our yarn club or if you're in our fiber club and you have not gotten your box and you don't want to know what's going on, turn it off soon, because you'll want to wait until you get your box, because I'm going to talk about all that stuff. I also wanted to send out just a little reminder to please shop small. We did a sale over the weekend. Well, it wasn't a sale, but I ended up donating. Oh my gosh, this fly is going to be in the picture, isn't he? Hopefully he'll go away, but they never go away, do they? I ended up donating 15% to a local charity up in Portland called Rosehaven, and you guys really were awesome. I think we had the biggest online sales for the weekend that I've ever had in online sales, and we were able to donate about $200 to them, which was really awesome. So thank you. So between putting all those packages together for you all and doing all the secret yarn and fiber club stuff, I have been really busy, which is great, right? If there's one thing about owning a business I can say as a small business owner, if you are really passionate about your business, you just are working all the time. Even when I'm not physically in the mill working, which honestly these days seems like it's only like 50% of the time, I'm at home working on the computer or dyeing fiber or thinking constantly about all the different things that I want to be doing or making. So anyway, owning a business it's a lot of work. And this, as my husband said, so they harvest, their big time starts in about March, and then they harvest, well, they don't harvest, but they farm through into October, and sometimes even a little bit into November. So my husband this week said, this is your summer, which it really is. This is kind of my summertime, because for multiple reasons, he's around more, so he can help out a little bit more with a lot of the farm chores and things like that take up a lot of my time. It also is perfect milling conditions right around this time. Usually we would have a little more rain than this, but the conditions, while chilly in the mill, it's better than it being too hot for sure, and I tend to have really good humidity, which is important for processing fiber. So this is my time, and also my equipment loan that I have comes up due at the end of the year. So I'm always kind of hustling to make sure that we can get that paid, but we have this payment and one more and then we're done. So speaking of small business, I urge you to please shop small as much as you can. I so appreciate, and I think what I've seen on Instagram, at least from other small business owners, is that people are shopping small. If you're thinking about shopping at a bigger store, maybe just take a second and think, is there a place that I could buy that from locally or small, or order it online from a small business? A little extra time, and maybe paying shipping, or maybe paying a little bit more for the item, but knowing that you're supporting a small business is really critical always, but this year especially. So sometimes what I'll do, just if I find something I want, then I go on Amazon, I look at it, and then I save it in there for later so I can go search for it somewhere else, but I remember that I wanted it. especially books. So anyway, for all of you that have been supporting me, thank you so much, and keep shopping small, right? Okay, it's getting a little chilly in here, so I'm gonna probably throw something on real quick. But before, I wanna talk about what I'm wearing, right? So as we go into my section on hand spinning, this is from Handspun. So if anybody, let me show it on the right side. So this is the Hitchhiker shawl. I think it's Martina Behm is how you say her name. And this is Handspun, and it actually feels pretty different. You know, this section of it is a little bit tighter. So these were two different Handspun little skeins that I did, and in an effort, this is probably one of the first things I knit out of my Handspun, because I was just hand spinning and not doing a lot with it. So I started this pattern, I think, just like, oh, let me just start knitting something, and then was obviously not gonna have enough yarn, so I just picked up another skein that I thought looked pretty with it, and there you go. So that's my Hitchhiker, and I'll put notes down there. And I am not wearing anything, uh-oh, I think I'm twisted too, but that's okay. So I'm not wearing anything that I knitted necessarily at the moment, although I may be, but I am wearing my, I'm gonna step back so you can see. So I recently mentioned that I bought a second pair of these overalls. These are from Revival Clothing, and this is a woman-owned small business, handmade items. So this is 100% wool, and I wear it here at the mill. And here's the thing I love, besides it keeps me so warm because this building is very cold. The zipper, look, whoop. So when you go to the bathroom, women, these are literally designed for women. So you just have to reach down, that's it. And they still, you know, have a waistline, which I love. The legs, which I'm not gonna pull my legs up, but the legs are just straight. So anyway, and I just ordered another pair in the denim. Well, I should say, my mom ordered these for me. She actually got these for me for Christmas last year because they're a little out of my budget. So that was one of the big things that I asked for, and was so excited when I got them, and I love them. And so this year, hi Mom, told you I'd mention you all the time. This year, my mom gave me a little extra spending money for the holiday season. And guess what I did? So I'm in the truth. I was on American Eagle, because we've been on a really tight budget the past couple years, really, since I started the mill, and we ended up buying our little restoration project at home. So I've been trying desperately to buy local and small, and that comes at a cost, right? So I desperately needed more clothing. And so I broke down, was like, I'm just gonna buy some stuff from American Eagle because I can afford it. And I was on the website to buy that, and then I was like, oh wait, I could buy a couple pairs of American Eagle pants, or I can go on Revival and buy another pair of her clothes. So that's what I did. So I actually went in and I bought her denim overalls that I'm very excited to get, because it'll give me a little more, I can still layer with them, but they'll be a little bit, I can probably wear them for a couple extra months than these 100% wool ones. So anyway, I love this company. I love these overalls. She has other clothes also, obviously, other than overalls. She does tend to sell out of stuff fairly quickly. So something to keep in mind, but if you like them, go. Way to support small business there. Okay, so I'm wearing that, and time to move on to hand spinning. Okay, so doing this podcast has been giving me a lot of energy to be making at home a little bit more than I normally would. So that, I thank you guys for that, for coming on and watching and commenting and anything, you know, it just gives me feedback and it gives me more energy, and I'm at home knitting in the end of the evening. And a lot of it is like, I want to have some stuff to be able to show you that I'm working on, but it's also just the energy behind it. So let's see what our spinning update is. So I'm currently at home. I'm working on my third skein because look, I talked a little bit about how I was spinning for a sweater. So first skein, I've got my second skein all done. Note that it is not labeled, as I so nicely said, because I am the worst. Honestly, I'm so bad. But maybe tonight, Saturday night is always my night. I like tuck into my craft room and just like turn on Hallmark Channel movies and watch. So I'm hoping that I can count. and figure out the yardage on this. But I'm working on my third of this. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little wishy-washy about if that's the sweater I am going to knit with this, but we'll see. And this is alpaca and Shetland blended together. So, and they're not, you'll see, I mean, they're not perfect. There's some thick, there's some thin. That's okay. When you knit with Handspun, a lot of it gets washed out along the way, and that's the character of it, I think, anyway. So I'm doing that. I have another skein that I finished, which I showed a few pictures of it, but I'll show you this, and I'm going to show you how I got there, and you see again. And I'm gonna post a picture before I applied this. Ooh, it's taking away from that pretty stuff. But I'm gonna show you a picture of before I applied it, because this is actually 2 different fibers on each bobbin when I applied them together. And you can see it just, I don't know, a lot of people really loved this. And there's purples and, okay. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about how I got there. And I'm gonna post you a picture, because some of this, so one bobbin you'll see comes from this fiber from a braid. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Some people have mentioned or emailed me and said, you know, thanks for sharing your first hand spinning. I've been having a hard time. I'm going to keep going. So one thing, I'm going to give you some of my, as we go along through the podcast, wish I would have known as a hand spinner. When you see these as a beginning hand spinner, the lovely colors and the braid, and it's so pretty, back away. This is going to be my best advice to you. Back away. Because these are not easy to learn to spin on. And the main reason being, this is called top, by the way. So top has been processed, it's been combed through so that all the fibers are in a parallel position. A lot of time, it doesn't depend, it depends on what type, but this is like a 21.5 micron wool blend, and which means it's a fairly fine, it's next to skin fiber. The finer the fiber in general you get, the more smooth it's going to spin. It just is more slick, I should say. It doesn't have a lot of toothiness to it, so it doesn't want to stick together. So one thing that you're combating when you're spinning up a lot of these, a lot of times it's a merino, but sometimes it's other stuff, they're going to be slicker. So the fibers want to slip past you, making it a little bit harder to spin. The other thing you're combating is that a lot of times when things get dyed, they get a little bit more compact, right? The fibers get compacted because they're getting heat on them and things. Hopefully they're not getting felted, but sometimes they can get a little felted. This one is one that my friend Gail dyed, and I love the colors of it. But just with me moving it around from shows and stuff, it got a little bit more felted than I wanted to sell it. So I pulled it and thought, okay, I'll use it myself. So if you are a beginning hand spinner, I say stay away. And this could be controversial, but I personally say stay away. And I wish somebody would have told me that, because some of the first stuff I was trying to hand spin was pretty braids. So I'm going to show you some roving. So here's the difference of roving. Roving is what I make off of my own machine. So the fibers are aligned, but they're not perfectly parallel. And this is a Shetland wool. So this is actually one of my Fiber Club Shetlands. These are my Shetlands that I blended together. So I'm going to show you how, when I pull it, get up here, it literally, like, I have to put like no pressure on it. It's so loose that it just kind of comes apart. You know, if I pull it, if I draft it as we call it, it just does it for me super easily. That is something that you want when you are learning to hand spin, because it's going to allow you to not have to grip so tight or pull or do all those things. So as opposed to this, which I really have to give it a little more oomph. See how hard I'm pulling that? So just a quick tip, whether you're beginning or not, if you're beginning, quick tip, don't spin this. I mean, if you want to, do it because it's experience, but I'm going to give you a hint, and it would be pre-drafting. And I actually learned about this when I started to spin, but when you're learning, it's like all these things are coming at you. And so Pre-drafting is basically opening up these fibers that are a little bit more tight, especially on this braid that is really tight. You're just prepping the fiber in advance. So first thing you can do is strip it down. So one thing is, and you know, with a braid, you're just opening it up, undoing it, like so. So what I tend to do, this leads into so many conversations, but so what I tend to do is pull a hunk off, and this is really tight, so I'm just gonna even strip it down a little more. Pull a hunk. And then I open it up crosswise, just like so. So we're just opening up the fiber, so you know we're going from this dense to where you can kind of start to see through it. So I open it up sideways, and then I start to pre-draft it upwards too. So I'm just gonna pull a little bit at a time. And this is all before I even spin it. And it doesn't have to be perfectly even, but the idea is that, see how thin, how much I can see through that now? So the fibers are gonna be a lot looser, and that's gonna make it easier for a beginning or for any spinner. I still do this. So that's something about top. So in the picture, you'll also notice that this fiber looks really smooth on the bobbin versus the brown that looks a little bit more chunky. There's a reason for that, and that is because this fiber I spun short forward. The brown fiber I spun long draw. And you know what? I still applied them together because what the heck? It's my yarn. I can do whatever I want. That is the joy of making yarn. Short forward, and I'll do a little video on, actually I have a video to include in here, and you'll see me doing long draw. So the difference is short forward, you're pulling the fibers up. Well, not, yeah, you are sort of pulling the fibers up and letting the twist go in. Long draw, you're pulling the fiber back, so your backhand is pulling back and the twist is going up to your fingers. So I'll show a video. In my video that I'm gonna post here, you will see I'm doing long draw in it. So I learned to spin short forward. I don't spin it a lot anymore once I learn long draw. But you can see in the picture of those bobbins that the short forward is a very smooth, which is what I did with the braid. It's a lot smoother of a yarn than the long draw. Sorry, I'm getting fiber all in my mouth. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit more about that in a different podcast. But I personally like long draw because it gives a little bit more of an airy yarn, and you can whip through. I mean, in the time I did this bobbin, I probably would have done 3 bobbins in long draw. But I will say, I've gotten pretty down on short forward, which is, you know, lots of people spin short forward only because of the pace of it, right? But I kind of got into it. I had it on a separate wheel that's been kind of neglected and sitting there, and I started again, and I really just was giving it a lot of attention, and I was kind of getting into it. So anyway, that's that. That's my talk on pretty braids and beginning spinning, and maybe at least if you're gonna do it, make the prep easier. I would strongly recommend, and you can see behind me that I've got a lot more natural fibers up here, natural colored fibers. That's what I would recommend for beginning spinners. And I would also recommend going with more of the heritage breeds that are gonna be a more toothy wool, meaning they're gonna stick together for you a little bit better. They just kind of naturally want to stick together. Stay away from, again, my opinion, but I would steer clear of merinos and some of the finer wools for now. You can always experiment and play and give it a shot, but I think that you're gonna have a better experience learning to spin on a heritage breed such as Shetland, Jacob, Romney, in that realm, and in a roving form versus in these braids or in a top form. So you can throw it all out the window, but I wish I would have known to kind of steer clear of this for a while and stick to more natural colored heritage breed sheep to start spinning. So I think that is, oh no, I was going to share one more thing. This is already getting too long. Darn it. I have so much exciting stuff to talk about though. So I did want to talk about my fiber club because I have been doing a lot of dyeing for this, and spoiler alert, if you're in the fiber club, nix it if you haven't gotten your box. But this is so random because most of the time if you're in my fiber club, it's a monthly club and you get usually somewhere between 3 and 4 ounces of fiber. I tend to go for more, not necessarily even breed specific, but just fun fleeces that I find either from people growing or from shears or wherever. So they tend to be more on the natural side, fun. And they tend to be more different because of the breeds there, because all the breeds have such different wool. Well, I've decided that in December, that's just my like, do whatever the heck you want month. So on my trip to Pendleton, I've had a lot of people asking, what did you get at Pendleton? So besides the fleece that I keep forgetting to take a picture of, I also went up there specifically to buy their wool top. And this is Fiber Club. So I have dyed them up. This is kind of my, I love Christmas. I love Christmas. I love the Christmas season. I just love the lights and all of it. I love Christmas Vacation. I love the Griswolds. I love it all. So this is kind of my interpretation, and I also love retro Christmas. I have so many Christmas trees and just retro stuff. So I've dyed up, I've been dyeing a lot. I've dyed up these braids for Fiber Club, and I am really excited about them. And so I dyed these just sitting in a pot of water very slowly. I try to make sure you can kind of see how open it still is. I really desperately try not to felt the fiber to make it as easy of a spin on a braid as I can. And I like to leave, I specifically left spots of white. Oh my gosh, you guys, I forgot to show you the skein that I finished. We'll go back in a second. Anyway, because I like the little extra pops that adds. So there is my Fiber Club. There are still spots available, obviously not for December, but the next one would go out in January. So if you're interested, you can go online and sign up there. It's super fun. You also get a little gift every time, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So there's that. I feel like I'm forgetting something about that. Okay, Fiber Club. I'm going to show you that skein that I never showed you. Yes, I did show you. Oh my gosh, I'm all over the place. I'm so excited. Okay, anyway, so Fiber Club, I showed you the hand spinning. I showed you this. This skein will actually be up in our online shop for sale because I sell some of my hand spinning. I can't knit with it all. So anyway, this guy will be, by the time this shows up, this will be in the online shop. If somebody fell in love with it, grab it up. And I am actually going to, before I go into knitting, I am going to include a little video here that is me hand spinning. And it will tie into a video I have at the end here with actual spinning at the mill. But I just wanted to show you the hardest thing that I had to learn. And I think the thing that held me back from really learning to hand spin a little more easily was how to connect the lead when you're first starting to spin. So I have a little clip here that I'm going to show you of me hand spinning and connecting the lead in the 2 ways that I know how. I'm sure there may be other ways, but I'm going to show you that, and then it'll tie in at the end. I'll have some videos on me at the spinner here at the mill connecting the lead, because guess what? It was also one of the hardest things for me to figure out. I don't know why at the mill. So I'm going to stop here, let you watch the video on me doing a little hand spinning. And if you're a beginning hand spinner, I'm gonna say something to watch for is how lightly I appear to be holding the fiber while I'm spinning. And I am spinning long draw, so I'm pulling the fiber back away from the mill, and I'm really letting the wheel take the fiber from me. And one of the critical points to that is you have to hold your fiber light. So if it looks like I'm holding my fiber very lightly, it's because I most definitely am. And I practiced it like crazy. And I would literally be holding the fiber in my hand saying, practice as if you were letting go of the fiber and just letting the machine take the fiber from you. So anyway, enjoy this little clip. I'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I thought I'd do a little video because I'm about to start a new bobbin for spinning, and I thought I'd show you just kind of how it works in case you have never hand spun before, which lots of people haven't. And excuse all of this because this is Sunday evening and it's just how I look. I did not dress up for this. So I am spinning up. I've kind of talked about this before, but I'm doing some. This is one of our Shetland lamb fleeces, and I blended it with some alpaca, and I am spinning for a sweater. And I may or may not start the sweater. I have before, I have yet to, I think, actually spin all the yarn and then knit the sweater. I tend to just start spinning and then start knitting because it encourages me to keep going on the spinning. So anyway, this skein has already been spun, plied, and then soaked so that the twist is already set. So you can see it's kind of a lot more cleaner and organized than this one that has some little twisties in it. And this one is all ready to go in the wash to set the twist in it. So, and they're not exactly the same size necessarily as far as the weight of the yarn, and for me as a hand spinner, that's fine. I'm not going for perfect yarn. I am going for yarn that I'm happy with. So anyway, I'm going to just show you how, in case you've never seen somebody do this before. I'm going to start out on my bobbin, and basically I'm just taking, this is called a lead, and this will be interesting because one of the videos I'll have later on is me at the mill. And I'll be doing this on a spinning machine, and it's the same basic concept, and it's also the most difficult thing for me as both a hand spinner and a mill owner with a spinning machine to learn how to do. So basically you have a lead, which is where you're going to connect your fiber to start, and I'm just pulling the lead through here. This is the little orifice here, and you can see I have a big bag of this is my roving here. The best thing ever is just to have a huge bag of fiber that you're spinning, because it's just, I don't know, it's just a freeing. You don't have to worry about running out so much. So my feet are down here. I'm getting ready to treadle, and I'm going to start treadling a little bit, and then we're just going to join this. And the biggest thing when you're joining, and why it's so hard, is because you need to be having enough twist so that it stays connected to the leader. And once you have enough twist, then I can just start spinning away. And I'm using this wheel just for this yarn, so I don't have to worry that I've adjusted anything. I know it's basically going to spin up into a similar weight yarn. And I spin a form of long draw, so I'm pulling back and letting the fiber twist up into the yarn before I feed it onto the bobbin. So I just thought I'd show you a quick video, and then we can just spin, and I'll show you one more time how I connect. Like I said, this is the hardest, and I'm not a technical spinner, just like I'm not a technical knitter. So there's certain ways that some people would say you should absolutely do this. I am not that person. I say if you can make yarn however it works for you. So I'll show you two ways. One way is just to have your fiber down at the bottom, let your leader pick it up. Make sure you get enough twist in there, and then you're off and running. Now, a more technical way to do it, I think if you're spinning different than what I'm spinning, is you can also just have your roving to the side here, and you can see how as the yarn is spinning in, it's picking it up. So that's another way to do it. And then you're just off and running. And we've talked about, I think in my first podcast, I talked about really all you're doing when you're making yarn is adding twist to the yarn. So that's what we're doing. So there you go. There's my little intro. Thanks for joining me. See you later. Okay, everyone, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little clip. And I do want to mention that I have found that when you connect a lead, if you're spinning short forward, so getting your fiber forward into the wheel, that connecting from the side does make a smoother transition than if you're spinning long draw or another form, connecting at the very bottom. I think you have the potential to leave a little bit more of a noticeable spot. So there you go. I am going to move on to knitting now. So I've been kind of knitting a lot. I've been hand spinning a fair amount, and I've been knitting a lot and really having fun with it. So again, thank you guys for watching and commenting, and it really gives me energy, and I hope I'm able to give you guys some energy back. So update on some things I have been knitting. I have a whole slew of a mess. So one of the things was my sock knitting, which I need to just keep in the car. I don't know where the sock went. Oh, here's my sock, which I've showed you before. Sock. Number one that I loved so much, and I should mention, this is the Day Off Socks. It's a, you can find it. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. And I also linked to, I think I had everything in the last, it is toe up. And I really love the fit of it, and there's fiber all over everything. I really love the fit of it. And I wanted to mention that I used a video on YouTube, because this is Judy's Magic Cast On, to do your, look at, I am just fibered up. I used Judy's Magic Cast On, but I used the video from Purl Hunter is who did the video I did. And she has a Judy's Magic Cast On that is, she has labeled new for 2016. And I really like that video. It made it, I have done Judy's Magic Cast On only once or twice, and I had it so tight, it was really hard for me to knit into that next round of stitches, and I found her instructions. She does it a little bit different, and it was really good for me. So anyway, first sock we already talked about, and I am using my wool mohair. Our fingering weight is what I'm using for this, our Ewethful yarn, and you can see sock 2 is coming along, right? Not bad. I need to just put this in my car because I'm now at where I can just knit, and like once or twice this week, I actually left the house. Actually, last week I was going to the doctor for my mammogram. Whoop, whoop, don't forget to get your mammograms, ladies, if you're over 40, I think. So I went in for my annual, and I realized I didn't have my knitting with me as I at work. So my sweet, 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 loving husband met me in town and had my knitting with me. So we met in the Costco parking lot, and he gave me my knitting. So that was really sweet. Anyway, my mammogram is fine, just so we're all clear, but good to go, right? I think after 40, you're supposed to go every year. Okay, so public service announcement number 2, I suppose. So I'm working on that. That's kind of my backup. I am working on, which I love this. I had started this a little bit, oh, and did I? Yeah, I said the pattern. Okay, so next thing is, this is the 3-color Cashmere Cowl by Hohilo Catelli. I am using the same yarn, believe it or not. I think this is on 2.5s, and my sock is on a 1, I think. So such a different fabric. Look at how tight. Which I love a good tight warm sock because I get cold. And I like them to be short. I know it's weird, but I wear leggings and everything. So look at what a different fiber, I mean, a different fabric it's making, so thick. And this is so nice. And and I'm at this, and I just love these little stripes up here. So at some point, I have to add a 3rd color. And I think, oh my gosh, I love it. I just really love it. And I love this yarn, which is fun. I mean, obviously I'm a little biased, but I still love it. And I think what I'm going to do, so here's the colors we have besides the naturals. Actually, we have 3 gray, or we have 2 grays. So I'm using the almost white, basically. I'm using the lighter gray. And I think I'm going to use the purple as my 3rd color, because I don't think I have knit much in purple, and I'm pretty excited about that. So that is one. And I think if you are thinking about knitting this, I am not positive. I have to look. I'm not sure I'm going to have enough of the, I'm pretty sure it was 200 yards of each color. So I might have enough gray, but anyway, I love it. And obviously the pattern would tell me if I read the pattern, but sometimes I'm really bad about reading. So that's something I'm working on. And just to show you the other naturals, or the other dyed up ones. So this is our mohair fingering. I call it the Prineville. So here's some of the other dyed. I did, because I was just like having fun in between dyeing all those braids up. I dyed up 2 more colors that were just testers, but I don't like them. One of them was a brown, but the brown didn't come out very well. And then this is it's showing up red, but it's pretty pink. Although the brown does look, kind of browny gray, does look nice. I guess it looks brown there. Okay. Anyway, so that is our Prineville fingering weight yarn. And it's wool and mohair. And I talk a little bit more about it in the last podcast, so I'm not going to go too much into that. But that's what I'm working on there. Okay, super exciting for this last one. Again, spoiler alert, if you have not gotten your yarn club, which you should have by the time this is out, turn it off. Heather, my sister, is getting it for Christmas. Turn it off, Heather. Okay, so I'm really excited to show you this, because this is the first time, and I'm going to show you some clips of me making this yarn, because it was that much fun. So I'm going to try to get in there so you can see. There's a lot of variations and little pops of colors in here. So this is 100% Shetland wool from my sheep, from our flock. And this is cream puff and sweet pea. And then our 2 rams, Bert and Ernie. So the fun thing, this is the first time I've done yarn like this. This is our yarn club for December yarn. It's basically, I have a few skeins left and my yarn club people get first dibs at it before I put it up for sale, but I am in love with it. And my Shetlands tend to be a little bit on the finer side. So this is, I believe, next to skin wool. If you're super sensitive, it may not be, but it's pretty soft stuff. And so I'm gonna have some videos, exciting, showing you what the original wool looked like before I carded it, then onto the carder, and then, and I think I'm doing that. Maybe I'll do that pretty soon here. So yeah, I'll just introduce you to that. So, and tell you a little bit about the technique I use, because like I said, it was new to me and it was really exciting. Not new to me, but it was the first time I did it myself. So half of this wool, I dyed in the wool because these are white or very light gray sheep. So half of this batch of wool, I dyed in the wool. So 50% of it, I dyed in different colors. And the other 50% was more on the gray side, and I left that natural. And then I blended it together. If you've ever knit with Jameson of Shetland, it's kind of a similar thing where there's little, you put together a couple different colors and then it creates its own color. And then there's little pops of some of those different colors in the yarn. I'm gonna show you again because I love it. So you can see there's little bits of blue and kind of purple in there. So anyway, this I called Berry Frost. Like I said, it is our December yarn club. You can still sign up for yarn club. It's just the next one will be March because it's quarterly, and you also get some gifts, which I'll show you. But I'm gonna go ahead and play the videos now. So the first, I'll let you see kind of what the fiber looked like as it was dyed up before it went on the carder, running through the carder, so you can see once it comes out in roving what a difference that blending makes, and it just keeps getting blended through the process until it's on the spinner. And then I was really excited because the video I have on spinning, I never get because I'm always here by myself working. And so I got Mitch in to be in the spinning room and to show you something that I think is kind of fun, especially if you're a hand spinner. You'll see how to connect, how I start my yarn. And connecting that lead, it took me a little bit. It took me a little hot second to figure that out, but now it's pretty easy. But it kind of shows you how important it is. That bobbin always has to have a lead on it because it needs, the yarn has to have a place to start and connect to and start spinning. So I'm gonna give a break again and show you that video, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay. Hi guys, I am here at the mill. It's a little chilly today, so hence my many layers of wool. And I wanted to show you, I have a little video that I will include it here too, but I'm gonna flip and show you what I'm working on here. This was a secret because this was the first Fiber Club yarn. So I shouldn't say Fiber Club, Yarn Club yarn. So you can see here, I've got a whole mix of colors. And I can kind of peek in this bag for you, and you can see, so this is some of the stuff I dyed up in batches, and it's all different colors in there. This is the natural I'm blending with it, and this is how I'm putting it onto the picker, is just in chunks back and forth between colored and natural. And then we'll peek over, and you can see this is how, in the video, you can kind of see it coming out. So this is it picked out, and it's all a lot more fluffy and obviously a lot more blended. And then after it comes out of there, I actually condition my fiber, and we're going to take a little quick so you can see over here. These are all ones that are ready to go on the carder in about a half hour or so. I condition them, which is a special conditioning product designed for fibers, for animal fibers. So, and it just adds a little bit of conditioner like it would for any, when you condition your hair, and it also helps keep static down. So those are two important things when you're milling yarn. So I wanted to let you see this stage here. Next up is the carder, and it gets real fun here. Okay, so we're back at the carder now, and I'm gonna flip around and show you all what is going on here. So we've got the conditioned, picked, and clean fiber going into the carder, and I personally would say, ugh, as it's going in there. see all the rollers doing their magic. We're going to come around to the other side. We'll take a peek in there. Should be able to see some fiber kind of coming through there. And then we're here at the end. So first stage of blending is done, and it'll get blended more as we go through the next stages. But that's where we're at so far. Hey guys, welcome to the spinning room. So I've talked a little bit about this room in here, and she's got her own space for a couple reasons. One, she's very loud, and I've been asked if I wear headphones, and I do when when I'm in here and she's running. For sure. It also can be too dry in here, so I have a humidifier if I need one to humidify the room. In general, that's an issue with all parts of processing, but I find it to be a really big issue here if things aren't going well. And also, if it gets too hot in here, there are some plastic pieces down on the machine, and these are called the travelers, and they can get too hot because they're running across metal. So if it's too warm in here and they're running, things can add, and it just won't run well. They can pop off. They can actually start to, you'll see little divots and melts on them. So anyway, I'm going to show you. So this is the December Yarn Club of the month, so it'll be out after everybody gets their yarn. But this was actually, and this will kind of relate back to when I was doing the hand spinning. It'll be interesting for you guys to be able to see how it's similar in a lot of ways. This is also a very hard part of learning to spin. This machine was the most difficult part for me in the learning curve. And when you first came in, I had a friend comment, she always laughs and remembers there was just like wool all over the floor because I would be ripping and trying to start again and ripping and trying to, and some days are still like that, I'm not gonna lie, but hopefully not today. I've already spun the first half of this yesterday, so hopefully all will go smoothly today. So a couple things that go into starting the yarn are just like, and I'm going to put this guy down because this one's already set to go, and we're going to line up the next one. So one thing, just like on hand spinning, you need a bobbin that has a leader on it. So here's the bobbin I'm going to use, and it's got a lead on it, just like it's got a bigger lead, obviously, than the one I had. Let me make sure I'm using that one. So I pull a nice big piece of lead out, and I'm going to put it through the traveler there, and the traveler helps keep tension on the line on the yarn as it's being spun and coming down through the machine. So that's ready to go. My roving is in the back here, and I pull it up and just get it set up a little bit. So it's running through, and in my last episode, actually, I was talking about the rollers and staple length. So here's the two rollers that I'm mainly talking about. So from this roller to this roller, I can adjust this roller back but only to a certain point. So if a fiber is over 6 inches, even when I have these two rollers pushed out, I'm pushing it on, the fiber may get caught between here and here. And then that's when it'll literally get caught and then shoot out, and you'll get little tornadoes in the yarn. So there are some things I can do to adjust that, but it only works for certain lengths. So anyway, so we've got our roving set up. There's different, I can pick different spacers like here, and I will show you kind of the biggest one. So you can see how different the spacing is in there, and it just depends on the fiber that you're running on which one you're going to need, and sometimes you just have to play with it. The problem is if the fiber hits anything on the way out, so if this wasn't big enough and the fiber's hitting the sides of this, you're going to get tornadoes and different issues also. So I've already done some practicing, so I know that's going to work. These little clips on here also adjust the height of how far these belts are off of the spinner. And there's also adjustments back here that I can adjust on the arm for tension. So because I already spun some yesterday, I know where I'm at. So I'm just going to pull my leader up, and then I put the arm down, give it a little push there. And the last thing I do is I put these through here, and they just kind of keep the yarn centered in the middle there as it's spinning, because you'll see you get a little plume off of it. And so then I just double check that my traveler's on, my bobbin's all the way down. This is running through here, which my biggest fault is when I'm plying. For some reason I forget to get it through here. But if it's not through this hole, right here is a sensor. So if this machine breaks, or if the roving breaks or the yarn breaks, the machine stops. So if it's not in this sensor, it'll just keep running, roving and roving and roving. And if you're doing a small batch, you really don't have roving to waste. So anyway, I'm gonna turn her on and we're gonna hope that she runs smoothly for us, which she should. But this is the first thing I'm running today. So, and it's gonna get a little loud. If I can mute it for you guys, I will. If not, it's gonna be short, so hang in there. Okay. Yarn spinning, and there's other adjustments I make over here. This is where I actually make the adjustments to how much I want it to draft, which means how thick or thin I want the yarn to be, how much twist I want it to have per inch, and different things. So that's what all of these mechanisms over here do. And like I said, this has been the biggest learning curve because every fiber is different, every animal type is different. There's, as we've talked about, lots of breeds of wool, and they all run differently. And even in a single breed, even in a single flock, I could be doing a flock of Romneys, but the fibers could behave differently based on the length or just the type of fiber, you know, the fiber that that animal is putting out. So it's always a learning curve, but look at what happens at the end. So anyway, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Okay, I hope that was fun for you guys. It was fun for me to have Mitch come in and actually get to see a video of it. And you'll notice in the video that I am pretty bundled up. Hence why I'm wearing wool overalls while I'm here at work. I have my coat on. That was probably when I first got in. But our building, this mill building is, I'm going to say, maybe 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. It has a big loft upstairs. It has one heating unit that is in the front of the building, not where I mill. So it gets a little chilly in the back. So when I first get here in the morning, especially before I get the heat cranked up, because it costs me a fortune to run the heat overnight high. So I keep it pretty low and then it's freezing in the morning. So I've got coat and got my headphones on, which help keep me warm. And really I could put my mask on and be perfectly fine just for no reason at all. But I hope you enjoyed that, and I just am so excited about this yarn. I had so much fun making it. I had so much fun dyeing it. I'm so proud of it, not only because of how it turned out, but because, I mean, we grew the wool ourselves, which is so, I don't know what the word is, but to all the shepherds out there, it is real work. And to all the people that are buying the yarn, I hope that you kind of learn over the course of my podcast that it's a lot of work that goes into not only the making of the yarn, but the growing of the wool before it even gets to the processing point. So anyway, there's more to it even than just keeping the animals alive, but that's a big part of it, right? And giving them good quality of life. Good quality of life for your animals equals good wool for sure. So anyway, so with the Yarn Club, which I mentioned you can still sign up for, and thank you for everybody who did for our inaugural box, super fun. So you get a pack, well it depends, there's actually levels. So you can, depending on your budget, you could just get one skein of yarn, ends there. You can get 2 skeins of yarn done, or you can get kind of the, I think I called it the black sheep level, where you're getting 2 skeins of yarn, you get a little gift in the box, and you get a pattern with it that I think will do well with it. So I'm going to show you because I cast on the pattern, because here's my mom mention again. I was talking to my mom about it and she said, well, are you going to knit? Are you going to do a sample knit with it? And I was like, no. And then I was like, oh, dang it, Mom, why'd you say that? So I did find the pattern. I mean, I've knit with our Shetland before, so I have an idea of how it was going to play out, but I did think, okay, she's probably right. I probably should be knitting with the product. So I'm not super far, and I'm going to hold it the correct way, but this is, the pattern is Hint of Autumn, and I probably can pull it up for you guys. It is by Laura Aylor, and let me pull it up so you can see the finished, but I am so in love. And I'll be honest, I started it and thought, I don't know. I don't even know if I can finish this. I don't know why, honestly. It's not that big, and you can see there's a little So this, you start with just a few stitches, you know, you cast on just a couple, which is amazing. And it actually does have a few things, like you double wrap the ends, which I haven't done before. And it had some, I think you knit front and back, but in between you bring your yarn forward, you do a yarn over, which I don't think I've done before. So it seemed a little, not hard, but just like, oof. And then there's like some lace work, but I am really loving it. And it's a combination of the fact that I honestly am just in love with this yarn. And I love the drape and the feel of how it's working out. I think it's going to be just stunning. And I'm going to show you, because I can pull up really quickly the pattern, so you can kind of see what it's going to look like when it's done. If I can get it to shine for you guys. Ooh, there we go. So I love cowls because I can wear them to work without them. You know, if I wear something like this, I'm constantly worried about it falling. And obviously I don't want to get anything caught in a machine anywhere. So, anything, anywhere. We'll say that a lot of times. You have to be careful around these machines. So anyway, I thought this was kind of a nice, and the color, I mean, it helped obviously that the color is kind of similar to the color of my yarn, but because it just gives it this delicateness that I think if you've ever knit with Shetland, anyway, I love it. I'm really excited about it, and I can't believe how much I've ended up, and I probably cast it on, and you actually, I just joined it in the round last night, so you actually cast on, and then you're knitting back and forth for the bit, and then you knit in the round. So there's some extra purling for a bit, and now it's a lot more knitting moving forward. And the pattern seemed like, oh, I'm never going to memorize this, but I did. It's actually not, once you get it. And I think the nice thing about it is that when you're working on the pattern, you're recognizing, if you're not one to read your knitting, I think this is a good pattern for that, just for the most basic, like, oh, I can see in this stitch that this is where I should knit through the back loop, because that stitch looks like I should knit through the back loop. So anyway, I'm super excited about this. I am so excited and thankful for everybody who joined the yarn club. Like I said, there's a few skeins left. If my yarn club people don't want them, then they will go up in the online shop. So keep an eye out for that. And I was gonna just show you the little gifts too. And then I think we're almost done. So definitely not a half an hour, but that's okay. So in the yarn club and the fiber club, you get little gifts, depending on in the yarn club, which you sign up for. So for this time, they got, and talk about shopping small, I'm gonna do a few little promos if I haven't already. So in the yarn club, they got little ornaments. Aren't these adorable? And these are made from a local potter that I met in the community, in the spinning and knitting community. And her name is Kay Irish, and I just love it. And she did different color ones, so there's like a brown one and a different white one and just different shades, and I love them so much. And if you're not a Christmas person, that's okay. You could hang it on your mirror, you could hang it in your house, just somewhere cute. I love it. So that was for, this was for Fiber Club. So that was the Fiber Club gift. And last year they got a little sheep head that she made, so this year I said, let's go alpaca. And if you are interested in her, sorry, that's a really close up of me. If you're interested in her stuff, feel free to message me and I can pass her email information along. So this was the yarn club. Got this little lamb that she made. And look at that little happy lamb face. It's so lamby. It's just the whole aura that lambs give off, right? So I'm so excited about these. I just think they're cute. And she made an extra one for me. So I have a couple, very few, but I have a couple extra that I'm going to put up in the online shop. So if you love them, go grab one or two up before they're gone, because they're not going to last long. The other thing that I got was that in our yarn club that they got was some tea, because knitting and tea, spinning and tea, it all goes hand in hand, right? And I am a coffee drinker from Who Flung It, but my husband is more of a tea drinker, and I've gotten more into tea over the years. And I especially love when I get home from the mill and I'm cold and I make up a decaf. But so in the yarn club, they got a little bit of this Thanksgiving blend, and the tea company is Plum Deluxe, and I'll put a little link to their site, but this was their Thanksgiving blend. I don't know if they have it anymore, but it is delicious, and they have a lot of really delicious tea. So they got some tea bags already made up of that tea. So another idea for shopping local. And I'm going to show you one more thing, because this is a company that I just love so much. It's Milk and Honey, and I'll put their name up here. And I made this huge transition, but this was actually, look at how cute that is. It's goat soap. So these are, they raise goats and they make all sorts of different goat products. And I think I found them on Instagram, and I am a hardcore milk and honey person now. But in one of the fiber clubs, they got a little 3-pack of these little sheepy soaps, which I love. They have on the website all the time. But since I think I ordered their face soap once. So they have, and they're super pretty. A lot of their soaps, they have like, you know, they're, what is that called? I don't know. They have kind of the designs on them. So I use their face soap. I use their body soap. I use their lotions. Oh my gosh. So I use their face soap and their just regular lotion as my face lotion. And I'm not kidding. It's been a game changer. I love it. I used to spend a lot of money on facial products, and now not as much for a better product, I think, personally. And then I recently switched to their shampoo bar, which is so out of my element. I because of the color of my hair, and we have hard water, but I love it. I love it. It's a little transition period. But anyway, so that's another small company that if you're thinking of shopping local, obviously shop quickly. But I just really love their products, and they're in California. So I think that's it. We talked about fiber. We talked about hand spinning. I showed you lots of videos. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry about the super close-ups. That was terrifying for me to see. Anyway, I think I'll see you one more time before Christmas. And so just have a wonderful holiday season. I know 2020 has been a year. And I'm watching as California, a lot of my family is in California. Some of my family's on the East Coast, but I'm especially watching as California goes into yet another lockdown, and watching people that are in healthcare and friends that I have in healthcare. And it's so hard to watch the stress and anyway, I wish you all health and safety in this holiday season, and find love for each other however we can, right? And I thank you all for watching the podcast. I hope I was able to share some good information with you. And please don't forget to subscribe, comment, find us on social media. The blog post is at beingyouthful.com. And just thank you so much for the support, and take care, stay healthy. And until next time, I'll be here.